You might be wondering, why? Is not sharing our accomplishments a good thing? Well, let me ask you this. When was the last time a tree announced it was growing fruit? When was the last time the sun proclaimed its rising? Never. They simply do what they were created to do, without fanfare, without announcement. In this world of social media and constant connectivity, we have become addicted to validation. We post our meals, our workouts, our vacations, all in search of those little hearts and thumbs up. But let me tell you something, my friends. True greatness doesn't need likes. True purpose doesn't require shares. True fulfillment is not measured in retweets. When you constantly tell people what you do, you are not living, you are performing. You are turning your life into a show for others instead of a journey for yourself. And in doing so, you are robbing yourself of the most precious gift you have, your authentic self. Think about the great innovators of our time. Did they spend their days telling everyone about their ideas? No, they were too busy bringing those ideas to life. They understood a fundamental truth. Actions speak louder than words, and results speak louder than... Now, I'm not saying you should become a hermit, hiding away from the world. Far from it. What I'm advocating for is a life of quiet confidence, of silent determination, of unspoken purpose. When you stop telling people what you do, you create space for mystery, for intrigue, for genuine curiosity. Imagine walking into a room and not immediately listing off your accomplishments. Imagine letting your presence speak for itself. Imagine the power of being underestimated, of surprising people with your abilities rather than your words. When you constantly tell people what you do, you are putting yourself in a box. You are limiting yourself to their expectations, to their understanding of what you are capable of. But when you keep your cards close to your chest, you are free to reinvent yourself, to explore new possibilities, to grow in ways that might surprise even you. Think about a seed planted in the ground. Does it send out a press release announcing its intention to become a mighty oak? Of course not. It simply focuses on growing, on reaching towards the sun, on becoming what it was meant to be. And one day, without fanfare or announcement, it stands tall, a testament to the power of silent growth. We live in a world that's obsessed with noise. Everyone's shouting, everyone's clamoring for attention. But true power, true influence, it comes from the quiet ones, the ones who do not need to announce their every move, the ones who let their work speak for itself. When you stop telling people what you do, you create an aura of mystery around yourself. People become curious. They want to know more. And in that curiosity, in that desire to understand, you have the opportunity to truly connect, to truly engage, to truly make an impact. The most influential people in your life, chances are, they were not the ones constantly bragging about their achievements. They were the ones who showed up day after day, quietly making a difference. They were the ones whose actions spoke volumes, whose presence was felt even in silence. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but how will people know what I'm capable of if I do not tell them? If you have to tell people what you are capable of, you have not done enough yet. Let your work be your voice. Let your achievements be your megaphone. Let your impact be your advertisement. When you stop telling people what you do, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of seeking validation. You no longer live for the applause, for the recognition, for the pat on the back. Instead, you live for something far more powerful, your own sense of purpose. Imagine waking up every morning, not thinking about how to impress others, but how to impress yourself. Imagine going through your day, not worried about how others perceive you, but focused on how you can grow, how you can improve, how you can make it different. This is true freedom. This is true power. This is what it means to live a life of purpose and meaning. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. In a world that constantly demands we prove ourselves, staying silent about our achievements can feel counterintuitive. But remember, the lion doesn't need to roar to prove it's a lion. Its very presence commands respect. When you stop telling people what you do, you create space for genuine relationships. Think about it. How many times have you met someone new? And the first question is, what do you do? We have reduced ourselves to our job titles, to our roles, to our function. But you are so much more than what you do. You are a complex, multifaceted individual with dreams, fears, hopes, and passions. By not immediately revealing what you do, you open the door for deeper connections. You allow people to see you as a whole person, not just a resume. You create opportunities for genuine conversations for real understanding, for authentic relationships. And let me tell you something. In this world of superficial connections and shallow interactions, authentic relationships are worth their weight in gold. But it's not just about relationships with others. When you stop telling people what you do, you also change your relationship with yourself. You start to define yourself not by your job title, not by your achievements, but by your character, by your values, by the impact you have on the world around you. When you're constantly focused on telling people what you do, you are living in the past. You are rehashing old accomplishments, reliving past glories. But when you focus on doing, on acting, on creating, you are living in the present and shaping the future. Imagine the energy you will have when you're no longer constantly explaining yourself, justifying your choices, defending your path. Imagine the focus you will gain when you are not worried about how others perceive your actions, but solely concentrated on the actions themselves. This is where true growth happens. This is where innovation flourishes. This is where greatness is born. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what about networking? What about career advancement? I need to tell people what I do to get ahead. And to that I say this: the best networking is not telling people what you do, it's showing them. It's not about handing out business cards. It's about making a lasting impression through your actions, your attitude, your energy. You force yourself to become so good that they cannot ignore you. You push yourself to excel to such a degree that your work speaks for itself. You challenge yourself to make such an impact that people cannot help but take notice. And let me tell you something, that kind of success, that kind of recognition, it's far more valuable, far more lasting than any you could achieve through self-promotion. That the great leaders of our time, the ones who truly changed the world, they did not spend their time telling people about their plans. They were too busy executing them. They did not waste energy convincing others of their capabilities. They demonstrated them through their act. You align yourself with this kind of greatness. You put yourself in the company of doers, of achievers, of world changers. But here's the beautiful thing. It's not just about achieving greatness in the eyes of the world. It's about achieving greatness in your own eyes. It's about going to bed each night knowing that you did not just talk about your dreams. You took steps to make them a reality. Imagine the sense of fulfillment, the sense of purpose, the sense of joy that comes from living this way. Imagine the peace that comes from no longer needing others' approval, from no longer being dependent on external validation. This is true success. This is true achievement. This is what it means to live a life of purpose and meaning. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not advocating for false modesty or for hiding your light under a bushel. What I'm advocating for is a shift in focus. Instead of telling people what you do, show them. Instead of talking about your dreams, live them. Instead of seeking validation. When you stop telling people what you do, you create space for wonder. You allow people to discover you, to be surprised by you, to be inspired by you. You become not just a person, but a story unfolding before their eyes. The last time you were truly surprised by someone, the last time you discovered a hidden talent or an unexpected depth in a person you thought you knew, wasn't it exhilarating? Wasn't it inspiring? That's the gift you give to others when you stop telling and start showing. But more than that is the gift you give to yourself. When you're not constantly explaining yourself, you have more time, more energy, more focus to actually do the things you want to do. You free yourself from the exhausting cycle of talk and create space for action. Imagine the progress you could make if you channel all the energy you spend telling people what you do into actually doing it. Imagine the heights you could reach if you were no longer constrained by others' expectations, by their understanding of what you are capable of. This is the power of silence. This is the strength of action. This is the magic that happens when you stop telling people what you do and start showing them who you are. Now, I know this is not easy. We live in a world that constantly demands we prove ourselves, that we justify our existence, that we explain our worth. But I want you to remember this. Your worth is not in your words. Your value is not in your explanations. Your power is not in your proclamations. Your worth is in your actions. Your value is in your impact. Your power is in your presence. When you stop telling people what you do, you reclaim your time, your energy, your focus. You redirect it from impressing others to impressing yourself, from meeting others' expectations to exceeding your own. The last time you achieved something truly meaningful, was it because you told everyone you were going to do it? Or was it because you put your head down, focused on the task at hand, and made it happen? Talk is cheap. Anyone can say they're going to change the world. Anyone can claim they have big dreams, but it's the quiet ones, the ones who do not feel the need to announce their every move, who actually make those changes, who actually live those dreams. When you stop telling people what you do, you create space for growth. You allow yourself the freedom to experiment, to fail, to learn without the pressure of public scrutiny. You give yourself permission to be a beginner, to be imperfect, to be human. Imagine the liberation that comes from no longer feeling the need to have it all figured out. Imagine the creativity that can flourish when you are not constantly worried about how others will perceive your actions. Imagine the innovation that can happen when you're focused on the work itself, not on how to explain it to others. This is where true breakthroughs happen. This is where real progress is made. This is where lives are transformed, not through grand declarations, but through consistent, focused action. Now I want to address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but it's not this selfish. Should not we share our knowledge, our experiences, our successes with others? And to that I say this, there's a difference between sharing and showing off. There's a difference between teaching and preaching. There's a difference between inspiring and impressing. When you stop telling people what you do not stop making an impact. In fact, you increase your impact. Because now, instead of just hearing about what you do, people see it. They feel it. They experience it. The most inspiring people in your life, the ones who truly made a difference. Did they spend their time telling you how great they were? Or did they show you through their actions, through their attitude, through their very... When you stop telling people what you do, you become a living example. You become a walking, breathing testament to what's possible. You become not just a speaker of truth, but an embodiment of it. And let me tell you something, that kind of impact, that kind of influence, it's far more powerful than any words could ever be. Here's the beautiful thing. It's not just about the impact you have on others. It's about the impact you have on yourself. When you stop telling people what you do, you create space for self-reflection, for self-awareness, for self-improvement. When you are constantly focused on explaining yourself to others, you do not have time to question yourself. You do not have the opportunity to really examine your motivations, your goals, your purpose. But when you step back from the constant need for external validation, you create space for internal growth. Imagine the clarity that comes from no longer being concerned with how others perceive your actions, but solely focused on whether those actions align with your values, your purpose, your vision for your life. This is where true fulfillment comes from. This is where real success is found. This is what it means to live a life of authenticity and purpose. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but how will I get recognition? How will I advance in my career if I do not tell people what I do? And to that, I say this, true recognition, lasting recognition doesn't come from what you say about yourself. It comes from what others say about you. When you stop telling people what you do and focus on doing it exceptionally well, people will start talking about you. They will start recommending you. They will start seeking you out. And that kind of recognition, it's far more valuable than any you could achieve through self-promotion. The most respected people in your field, the ones who are truly at the top of their game, do they need to tell people what they do? Of course not. Their work speaks for itself. Their reputation precedes them. Their impact is felt even before they enter a room. You put yourself on the path to that kind of greatness. You challenge yourself to become so good, so impactful, so indispensable that you do not need to explain yourself. Your work does it for you. But here's the thing. It's not just about professional success. It's about personal fulfillment. It's about living a life that's true to who you are, not who others expect you to be. You free yourself from the constant pressure to live up to others' expectations. You give yourself permission to explore, to grow, to change. You allow yourself the freedom to be who you truly are, not who you think others want you to be. Imagine the peace that comes from no longer feeling the need to justify your choices. Imagine the joy that comes from living authentically, from aligning your actions with your values. Imagine the fulfillment that comes from knowing that you are not just talking about making a difference. You are actually doing it. This is what it means to live a life of purpose. This is what it means to make your mark on the world. This is what it means to truly succeed. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying you should never talk about your work or your achievements. There are times when it's appropriate, even necessary, to share what you do. But what I'm advocating for is a shift in focus. Instead of constantly telling, focus on showing. Instead of talking about your potential, realize it. Instead of explaining your vision, live it. You create space for curiosity. You allow people to discover you, to be intrigued by you, to want to know more about you. And that curiosity, in that desire to understand, you have the opportunity to truly connect, to truly engage, to truly inspire. The last time you met someone truly interesting, chances are they did not start the conversation by listing off their accomplishments. They probably drew you in with their presence, with their energy, with the way they engage with the world around them. That's the kind of magnetism you develop when you stop telling people what you do and start embodying it. You become not just a person with a job or a title, but a force of nature, a catalyst for change, a source of inspiration. But more than that, you become truly free. Free from the constant need for approval. Free from the exhausting cycle of explanation and justification. Free to focus on what really matters. Living your purpose, making your impact, leaving your mark on the world. The energy you will have when you are no longer constantly explaining yourself. Imagine the focus you will gain when you are not worried about how others perceive your actions, but solely concentrated on the actions themselves. Imagine the progress you will make when all your energy is channeled into doing, not telling. This is where true growth happens. This is where real change occurs. This is where lives are transformed, not through words, but through actions. Now, I know this is not easy. We live in a world that constantly demands we prove ourselves, that we justify our existence, that we explain our worth. But I want you to remember this. Your worth is not in your words. Your value is not in your explanations. Your power is not in your proclamations. Your worth is in your actions. Your value is in your impact. Your power is in your presence. You reclaim your power. You take back control of your narrative. You become the author of your own story, not just the narrator. Think about the great stories that have captivated humanity throughout history. The heroes in these tales did not announce their heroism. They demonstrated it through their actions. They did not proclaim their destiny. They fulfilled it. They did not tell people about their journey. They invited others to witness it. When you stop telling people what you do, you become the protagonist of your own epic tale. Your life becomes a story worth following, not because of what you say, but because of what you do. You create intrigue, suspense, and inspiration simply by being who you are and doing what you are meant to do. Imagine the power of silent determination. Picture yourself walking into a room, confident in your abilities, secure in your purpose, without feeling the need to announce your presence or justify your existence. That quiet confidence is magnetic. It draws people to you. It makes them want to know more, to be a part of your story. But it's not just about how others perceive you. It's about how you perceive yourself. When you stop telling people what you do, you create space for self-discovery. You allow yourself the freedom to evolve, to change course, to redefine yourself without the constraints of others' expectations. The last time you learned a new skill or explored a new passion, was not it exhilarating to immerse yourself in the process, free from the pressure of having to explain or justify it to others? That's the kind of freedom you give yourself when you focus on doing rather than telling. Failure. In a world where we are constantly pressured to present our best selves, failure can seem like the ultimate shame. But when you stop telling people what you do, you create space for failure. You give yourself permission to try, to stumble, to learn without the fear of public scrutiny or judgment. Imagine the innovation that could occur if we all felt free to experiment, to take risks, to fail forward. Think about the progress we could make if we weren't constantly worried about maintaining an image or living up to proclaimed expectation. Life is not just about personal growth. It has the power to transform entire communities, industries, even societies. When we shift our focus from talking to doing, from promising to delivering, we create a culture of action, Consider the great innovators and change makers throughout history. They did not change the world by talking about their plans. They changed it by executing them. They did not waste time convincing others of their vision. They spent their energy bringing that vision to life. When you stop telling people what you do, you align yourself with this legacy of doers, of creators, of world changers. You become part of a lineage of individuals who understood that true power lies not in words, but in actions. But let's be clear, this is not about becoming secretive or isolated. It's about shifting your energy from explanation to execution. It's about letting your work speak for itself. It's about creating such undeniable value that people cannot help but take notice. Imagine the respect you will command when people discover your capabilities organically, through witnessing your work or experiencing your impact. Think about the genuine connections you will form when people are drawn to you, not because of what you claim to be, but because of who you are and what you do. Life also frees you from the exhausting cycle of comparison. When you are not constantly telling people what you do, you are less likely to fall into the trap of measuring your progress against others. Instead, you can focus on your own journey, your own growth, your own unique path. Consider the peace that comes from no longer feeling the need to justify your choices or defend your path. Picture the clarity you will gain when you are focused solely on your own progress, not on how it measures up to others' expectations or achievements. This shift in focus also allows you to be more present, more engaged in each moment. When you are not constantly thinking about how to explain or promote what you are doing, you can fully immerse yourself in the doing itself. You can find joy in the process, not just the outcome. The last time you were so engrossed in a task that you lost track of time, that state of flow, of complete engagement, that's what becomes possible when you stop telling and start doing. But perhaps most importantly, when you stop telling people what you do, you create space for gratitude. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve or become, you can appreciate what you already are and what you're already doing. You can find fulfillment in the present, not just in some imagined future. Imagine the contentment that comes from knowing that you are living your purpose, making your impact, leaving your mark, not because you're telling people about it, but because you are doing it day in and day out. This approach to life is not just about personal fulfillment. It has the power to inspire others. When people see someone living with purpose, acting with intention, making an impact without the need for recognition or applause, it challenges them to do the same. You become a silent catalyst for change, an unspoken inspiration for others to live more authentically, to act more purposefully. The ripple effect this could have. Imagine a world where everyone was focused on doing, rather than telling, on creating value rather than claiming it, on making a difference rather than talking about making a difference. The potential for positive change is enormous. But let's not forget, this journey is not always easy. There will be times when the temptation to explain, to justify, to seek validation will be strong. In those moments, remember, your worth is not determined by others' understanding of what you do. Your value is not measured by your ability to articulate your achievements. Your impact is not limited to what you can explain or what others can see. Your worth is in your integrity, in your commitment to your values, in your dedication to your purpose. Your value is in the lives you touch, the changes you catalyze, the difference you make, whether anyone sees it or not. Your impact is in every action you take, every choice you make, every moment you live with intention and purpose. You free yourself to simply be, to be present, to be authentic, to be fully engaged in the work of becoming the best version of yourself and making your unique contribution to the world. Imagine the person you could become if you channeled all the energy you currently spend on explaining, justifying, and seeking validation into personal growth, skill development, and meaningful action. Picture the impact you could have if you focus not on being understood, but on understanding. Not on being recognized, but on recognizing the needs around you and addressing them. This shift in focus also allows you to be more adaptable, more responsive to change. When you are not tied to a particular identity or role that you've proclaimed to the world, you are free to evolve, to pivot, to reinvent yourself as circumstances change, or as you grow and discover new passions or purposes. How liberating it would be to approach each day not as a performance to be critiqued, but as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to contribute. Imagine the resilience you develop when your sense of self is not tied to external validation or recognition, but to your own internal compass, your own sense of purpose and integrity. This approach to life also fosters a deep sense of humility. When you stop telling people what you do, you create space for wonder, for curiosity, for continuous learning. You remain open to new ideas, new perspectives, new ways of doing things. You never assume you have all the answers, but instead approach each situation, each interaction, each challenge with a learner's mindset. Consider how this attitude could transform your relationships, both personal and professional. When you are not focused on proving your worth or showcasing your achievements, you can truly listen to others, truly engage with their ideas, truly collaborate towards shared goals. But perhaps most profoundly, when you stop telling people what you do, you create space for legacy. You shift your focus from short-term recognition to long-term impact. You start thinking not just about what you can achieve today, but about the mark you will leave on the world long after you're gone. Imagine the depth of purpose you'd feel knowing that your actions today are shaping a better tomorrow, whether anyone knows it's you doing the shaping or not. Picture the satisfaction of knowing that your impact extends far beyond what can be captured in a job title or a list of achievements. This is not about diminishing your light or hiding your talents. It's about letting your light shine so brightly through your actions that words become unnecessary. It's about developing your talents so fully that they speak for themselves. When you stop telling people what you do, you challenge yourself to do it better, to do it with more passion, more purpose, more impact. You push yourself to become so good, so effective, so indispensable that people cannot help but take notice. The great change makers throughout history, their greatness was not in what they said about themselves, but in what they did for others. Their impact was not measured in words, but in lives changed, in systems transformed, in worlds made better. You put yourself on the path to that kind of greatness. Not greatness in the eyes of the world necessarily, but greatness in terms of impact, in terms of living a life of purpose and meaning. Imagine the peace that comes from knowing that at the end of each day, whether anyone saw it or not, whether anyone recognized it or not, you did what you were meant to do. You made your contribution. You lived your purpose. This is what it means to truly live. This is what it means to make your mark on the world. This is what it means to fulfill your potential and realize your purpose. So I challenge you today. Stop telling people what you do. Instead, show them. Demonstrate it through your actions, your attitude, your very being. Let your life speak for itself. Let your impact be your advertisement. Let your purpose be your proclamation. Remember, the world does not need more talkers. It does not need more self-promoters. What it needs, what it's crying out for, is more doers, more creators, more change makers, people who are so busy making a difference that they do not have time to talk about making a difference. Be one of those people. Be so good they cannot ignore you. Be so impactful they cannot help but notice. Be so purpose-driven that your very life becomes a statement, a testimony, an inspiration. This is your challenge. This is your calling. This is your opportunity to not just talk about changing the world, but to actually do it. So go forth. Act with purpose. Live with intention. Make your impact. And let your actions speak so loudly that you never need to tell anyone what you do. They will already know by the difference you're making. The world is waiting, not for your words, but for your actions, not for your explanations, but for your impact, not for your promises, but for your presence. So stop telling, start doing, and watch as your life transforms from a story you tell into a legacy you leave. Remember, it's not about what you say you will do. It's not about what you claim to be. It's about what you actually do. It's about who you truly are. It's about the impact you make, the lives you touch, the change you catalyze, whether anyone sees it or not, whether anyone recognizes it or not. Your life is your message. Your actions are your voice. Your impact is your legacy. So let your life speak. Let your actions resound. Let your impact echo through time. And never, ever feel the need to tell people what you do. Show them. Inspire them. Change them. Through your actions, your attitude, this is your moment. This is your opportunity. This is your life. Make it count. Not through words, but through actions. Not through telling, but through doing.